Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, a.k.a. the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Holy shit, that was a loud intro.
That was pretty loud.
But we're back. And this time we are having an MMG first podcast in the garage.
Ooh, that's exciting.
And, I mean, we already had like beats going before, like band style. Like, I think we might start a garage band after this.
We're on to something.
Yeah. So, but that's for next time. And today, I pretty much told Dalton he's fully in charge of everything we're going over today.
Just ad-libbing it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's get it.
That's what I like to do.
But there's so much going on in the marketing space. There's so much that's happened Moss Marketing Group-wise. And I feel that we have these every once in a while, and it's like how different it looks every time we have them. And it's kind of cool just to recap from podcast to podcast on all the progression that we've had, the progression that companies we're working with have had, and kind of informing people on different things that are happening in the space right now. So whoever wants to kick it off, I got to get my cigar lit. We've been practicing on that before we started. So who wants to kick it off?
Dun, dun, dun.
I feel like we should mention we do have new members of the Moss Marketing Group team
It's exciting.
since the last time we had an MMG podcast.
For sure.
So most recent being Juan. That's taken forever to light. Holy crap.
And there's
so
two more to light.
Juan is helping us out part-time right now on the editing side of things. Marvin hasn't made an appearance yet. Marvin is full-time editing. He's killing it.
And more in the works.
Yeah, and more in the works.
Yeah.
Always growing.
Yeah, because this is coming out, and I mean, we could have a whole podcast with me just lighting a cigar, actually.
I feel Lance cringing right now.
I know. I need to get a torch. We have, I'm thinking about when this is dropping.
Be the last week of April.
Last week, April. So we have 3 people already starting in May. And then looking to try to secure 2 more people that we're meeting with this month to move forward with if they fit the mold of what we're looking for. I have question after question with people I talk to all the time is how we're finding the progress we're finding in the space, how we're driving forward all the time. And realistically, I tell them it's you guys. It's you guys, the team that's there at Moss Marketing Group. You guys are the ones that make the operation go round every day. And I don't even feel like I'm the expert in the space all the time now. I have people ask me questions, and I'm like, I'll call you back. And then I'm like calling Dalton, I'm calling Ricky, I'm calling Logan, I'm calling somebody at the office, and it's like, hey, they're asking this, and this. And then I mean, you guys are the experts now. And it's pretty cool sitting where I'm at, watching that transition and watching what you guys have done and just seeing that when new people start, it used to be me sitting side by side with them, and now it's you guys leading these people. And seeing the leaders that are coming, and it's, I don't know, it's fun to watch. I like everything that's happening, and I think that our exposure level continues to get larger. The podcast has gotten so much more traction. Our Instagram traction's through the roof, our Facebook traction, our TikTok traction, just whatever it is. And I think people really discount how much that consistency of traction and what that does to a business.
Yeah, I mean, this has been what we always say, the beginning of 2022, when we started the podcast, started getting in front of the camera. I mean, it didn't just happen by chance. This is something that we've been working at for a long time, with our own stuff, with the podcast, with our team, growing our team, adding accounts to get to the point that we want to get. It's really cool from the inside as well, watching it kind of transform and a little organization start to pop up in different places, get systems in place, make sure that we're efficient, streamlined as possible. It's cool to be a part of.
And you hit something that I've feel like I've been focusing a lot on recently. And as I've progressed, I'd say out of working inside of MMG every day, even though I am working inside of MMG, it's the efficiency of what we're doing. It's having those correct processes to make sure what we are doing is the best for the clients that we work with. That I truly believe that organization builds and breaks companies. And there's so many companies we've talked with and met with that their organization is just so poor. And you can see it plain as day from the outside. But being inside of it, you can't see it.
I think part of that is a lot of business owners feel like they're just trying to keep their head above water and they're just trying to keep up rather than optimize for the future. And that's because they just haven't taken the time to, like you said, look at it from the outside in or get a different perspective on it.
Yeah, and I look back 2 years ago from where we're at now, and I'm like, what was I doing? I'm like, why was I not doing this? Why was I not doing this? And now it's something that's just so routine. And we're going to have the same thing 2 years from now. 2 years from now, we're going to look back like, how did we operate at that level? Like, how did we not look at this piece to change this that amplified everything?
Yeah, it always seems so simple when you're looking back after the fact. You know? And that one of my favorite parts about these podcasts that we do is really like, feel like we're so in the weeds, like just grind every day, that we don't step back and look at where we've come from. But when we do stuff like this, it gives us opportunity to say, holy shit, this is exactly where we wanted to be. It feels like a blur, honestly.
Man, we used to film for like 8 hours and get one piece of content out of it.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's, now we go out and we film for an hour. We have so much content.
Yeah, and instead of doing 5 accounts a week, it's like 25.
Yeah. And I feel like the dial's being turned up so much, but I've also watched the progression of everyone in MMG get turned up so much also. And Logan had a good point. It's cool to get a step back, and we are a very drive company. And I always look at it as like we're on a train moving forward. I feel like the second you take your foot off, like to slow down, you're hurting everyone around you.
Yeah.
And then you also have business owners like, well, do you guys have too much on your plate? It's like, no, that's why we're becoming more efficient in what we're doing. That's why our processes are getting more refined. Like, do we have those mistakes that happen? Yes.
Yeah.
But it's how do we fix those to where those mistakes don't happen again?
Well, and that's just going to lead us into adaptation. Like if we were running at a comfortable pace the whole time, we would still be in the basement.
I feel like there was like
RIP to the basement.
3 to 4 like key turning points since I started. Like, we were like, well, we really need to optimize this and change and do this. And I think for the most part, we've been really good at seeing that, before it's too late, because a lot of the times for some people it can be too late. But I think there's been those key moments where we've kind of taken a step back, looked at the bigger picture, and then made adjustments accordingly, for sure.
Yeah, and
We've definitely gotten better at seeing that faster too. With repetition, you become better at it. So,
which I think I want to say people as a whole just miss a lot of times, is they're shooting at a target that they think is sitting still. The future is moving. And if that is in marketing, if that is whatever business model you're in, it's a moving target. So your business model is not going to look the same in 2 years from now. So if you think you have a perfect process in place for what 2 years holds, you don't.
yeah.
It's going to shift. It's going to change. But you also have to be aware to look at that to be able to adapt quick enough and make change before. And I see business owners especially, they don't want to make the change until it's too late and they're closing their doors. When it's like, you saw the market was shifting. You saw something was happening. You saw what your competitors were doing. You saw people evolving, and you decide just not to evolve. And then you're closing your doors, and then you want to point fingers at everyone else.
I think that it just comes down to being stubborn, stuck in your ways. I mean,
Do you think there's any cases where people see that, know it's happening, but don't necessarily know what to do about it or how to make a change in their business?
100%. But I think that goes back to what Ricky was talking about, where people are working so hard at trying to keep their head above water. Yeah. And I think time management plays a big factor in that, where I think a lot of people are very poor with their time management. That I've ran into people that they're like, I have no time, I can't do this. And it's like, I look at what they're operating and what they're doing. I'm like, I'm doing 10 times what you're doing in a week, and I still have time. Right. I know people that do 10 times what I do and still have time. Yeah. To where there's different levels that you're going to hit of operation, to where you have to see that, and sometimes it's slow down to go faster. And my dad told me that my whole entire life. He's like, slow down to go faster. And sometimes just taking, even if it's 30 minutes, block out everything you're doing at work and say, I'm going to look at this from a bird's eye view. And sometimes, and I don't know if it's something in me, I can look at something and I can see like where the issue lies. I can see exactly where something needs to change for the process to work better. And I think sometimes people see it's happening and they think if they just work harder, it's just going to go away, which it doesn't. There's times where I was in that boat late last year. I was like, maybe if we just work a little bit harder, we'll just work our way out of it. And then finally I just said, like, I knew what the problem was. And I finally just stopped, took a step back. We're going to fix what it is, and then we're going to move forward the way that we need to.
Well, and if your default is just to work harder, then you're going to be able to get a little bit more done, and then you're going to handle a little bit more work, but then you're just going to put yourself right back in that same position.
Yeah.
Until something breaks.
Yeah, and there's always a breaking point. When your processes are broken, there's a breaking point where it all falls. And I feel like it gets to where you're just making a domino tower that's bound to fall at some point, and the foundation isn't correct. Towards when you build that foundation that's correct on a business, it makes scalability a lot easier. That I was talking with someone today, and they were asking about our taco reviews. They're asking about the podcast. They're asking about all these different things. And when I look back at what we've done up to this point, I used to always think everything we did was for client acquisition. And when I look at it at this point, everything we did was for employee acquisition. Everything we've done to brand ourselves, everything we've done to this point was to build a culture so people wanted to be a part of it. And that was a viewpoint that I always had, was like, I wanted something that people wanted to be a part of, that they were proud to be a part of. And it's with building that came a very easy avenue for client acquisition. But it was a completely different vertical about how most people push forward in a market. And because of that, it's made it, we have people reach out to us all the time that want to work here. And it's like, I love that part of it. But some people figure out client acquisition, they can't get the employees to man it. If you have the right people in place, the client acquisition actually becomes easy. So I think it's almost a flip-flopped market space that most people focus, build a phenomenal culture, build a phenomenal place for people to work at, and everyone outside will notice it, and then people will want to work with you.
I feel like attracting the right people to work for you through social media is so much easier, because the people that follow you most likely are going to be the people that are going to fit that mold anyways.
Exactly.
Like if you put out an Indeed ad for a videographer, an editor, an account manager, like you're going to have so many people put in applications that aren't even close to really qualifying for what they need to be doing.
And that's something that I've had people reach out. They're like, hey, I know so-and-so, and they do video on this side. They would love to have a chance. And I'm like, I always try to be very upfront with people that I'm like, we're very strict on the type of person that we want to hire and also their skill level. That everybody with a camera nowadays thinks they're a videographer, photographer, but I very much have had a lot of conversations with Ricky that there's people that have an eye for content. They see things differently. The way that they put something together, they can see something, they take a different shot of it than anyone else would. They see it in a different vision. To where it's like, I've seen people that don't do video for a job or anything, and I can see a little bit of their work, and I'm like, that's the person. And I've sat there with Ricky, he's like, how do you know that's the person? I was like, that's the person. I'm like, they just have they have that it factor to them. I'm like, I don't know what it is about it, but I know that's like when we met with Juan. We met with Juan, and that was a 5-minute conversation. And I look at Ricky, I was like, hey, starting on Monday. And I know it's kind of like
Ricky's like, whoa, now, but that was
Showed us like 2 Instagram posts, bro.
he's
But
like,
he was totally right, though.
but it was like I looked at it, and that's something you can't teach.
Yeah.
So there's certain things you can teach. I can teach somebody how to use Lightroom and Premiere Pro or Final Cut or something like that. And we go through all the training in the world, and then I shoot you over 30 minutes of film, and 100 people are going to spit out that 30 minutes of film completely different. Towards who has the best eye to how to edit that? Who has the eye to put that together, piece it together, and turn it into something that we want to put out that's content that stands tall for what we do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And like from a technical standpoint, like I'll tell them they have to know where they're trying to go. Like if they're trying to do something specific, I can help them with that. Like as far as we moved Juan over to Final Cut, he's used to Premiere. So if he knows what he's trying to do, just doesn't know the technical side of it, that's something we can help with, and we can teach really anybody to do that part. But if you don't know where you're trying to go, that's the tricky part.
I would hire somebody with an eye that's never been in Premiere Pro or Final Cut instead of somebody that came to me that said, hey, I've been in this for years, and I looked at all their stuff, and I'm like, you never got the right shot in there. And I'd hire the person that's never been in it before.
Yeah.
And I would say probably 9 out of 10 business owners would be like, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, hiring someone with no experience.
Realistically, but look at you come to MMG, I'm trying to like think of
This feels like a commercial.
I know. I
This will
was
be on
gonna,
our website.
I was gonna say we're like the Bad News Bears, like people like don't play baseball or whatever it is, but we're people without but the Bad News Bears were bad. That's why I wasn't.
I've never seen Bad News Bears.
But it's like it's a bunch of people that weren't supposed to be baseball players, and it's like we don't have marketing degrees. We went against the grain in everything we were supposed to do. We are going to be the different ones.
Dre
would like some credit for
has
his
a marketing degree.
Oh, Dre has a marketing degree, but
I didn't even know that.
yeah. But it's one of those things that I don't care about what somebody's degree is. I don't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I want people's work ethic. I want to know what their vision is. Like, if their vision is right and their work ethic is there, I will bet on anyone. If somebody comes in with a weak-ass work ethic and has no drive and no vision of where they're going to go, we've sat in that conference room and had a lot of meetings with a lot of people that I have gotten up and instantly told you guys the second we got up from that table I wasn't hiring them.
Yeah.
And there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And there's probably been some of the most accredited people that have came through our office.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. Especially on the content creation side, though. Like, I didn't go to school for that, so I don't know what they teach. But really, like, what could you possibly learn?
I don't
Like,
know.
just go out and actually do it.
Yeah, that's why whether you're looking for a job or you're trying to find the right employees for you, like you said, social media is the most important thing you can be doing because it builds your personal network up to the point to where you have most of the time like-minded individuals. We have like-minded individuals within our social networks. So, of course, over time, the right people are going to come into your network. They're going to stay there. You're going to reach out, start to build a relationship. It's a phenomenal tool.
Well, and we have so one of our accounts that we work with reached out to us about their neighbor doing content creation. If nobody can give a referral if they don't know what you do.
Yeah.
So, like, if any of my friends on Instagram know somebody or they are somebody that's really good at content creation, because we post about it all the time, they would probably reach out to me, I would think. But if you don't post about that type of thing, then nobody's really going to think of that.
And that's the other thing is I feel that no one questions what we do. I feel so many people have professions and they're so like scared of people knowing what they do and what people would think about them. I was very much that way in the car business. I'm like, I don't want people to just think I'm a used car salesman.
Yeah.
Like, even though I worked my way up, that's what people thought. Like, you get to management and I'm sitting there and I'm worried about people I went to school with that I'm making 5 times what they're making. And I'm like so fearful of what they're going to think about like well, he's just in the car business. To where it's like I almost like hid from it for a long time. And then once I started coming out of my shell of like, hey, this is what I do, it was crazy how fast my life changed in the car business and how much traction I got and like the difference it made. And it's like, I want everyone to know that I think every single person I run into, they're like, bro, MMG, like, blah, like, it's almost like too much sometimes. But it's that I bleed it. Like, that's what people see all the time. It's all over my garage. It's on my truck. It's like, you're not going to mistake it.
Right.
And that's, I think in today's world, so many people like have a job that I go to the gym every morning, and I guarantee you walk around the gym, you ask 99% of those people there, see me there in an MMG hoodie all the time. And they're going to say, I don't know what MMG something, or like half of them follow us. And it's like, they know what I do. And then it's, if you went around and asked me what 99% of the people in the gym do, I'm like, I don't know. Like, but that's the thing is, when you're getting in front of those people, that's how you get that referral for that one person that might be it. And it's that one person can change so much that I sit there and think about how every single person has like, I hated college. Like, I didn't enjoy college. Like, I think it was a waste of my money. But Dalton is sitting at this table because I went to college. I think about Dre going to college and that being pointless too. Logan's sitting at this table because Dre went to college. I sit there and think about going to a gym that ended up parting ways with that I regret going to, but that's why you're sitting at this table. That's why Lauren is sitting at MMG. We decided to go out to Utah, and that's why Parker is sitting at MMG. I put on my story one morning that I need somebody to help edit. That's why Juan's sitting there. I sold Jaime a truck like 7 years ago. That's why he is sitting at MMG. I actually sold him 2 of them. I sold him 2 trucks. And he went to Dallas, and he came back. Because Jaime's there, his brother-in-law is Marvin. That's why Marvin's sitting at MMG. Every single person that sits in that office is there for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's like, but no one has ever questioned what I do. To where it's like, and that's when you get more people like that. That's what Supplement Superstore has done. Nobody questions anybody at Supplement Superstore what they do.
And when you have that culture at your company where everybody is posting about that, it's sort of a cheat code. Because if you have, say, 10 people at your business and they're all posting about it, not necessarily like all day, every day, but pretty consistently they're making posts, whether it's directly about it or just, hey, this is what I'm doing type of thing, that's 10 more networks that you have access to.
People talk about wanting to 10x their life. They want to 10x their business, whatever. Anybody that's watching this that has 10 people that work at their company, get all 10 people to start posting about your company, and you'll 10x your company in 12 months. That simple.
Yeah. Well, and it needs to start with the leadership, of course, because if you just go in and tell them, hey, everybody start posting about it, it's like, yeah, okay, we've never done that. You don't even
post about it.
But if you set the example, which I think you do an excellent job of, then it's a lot more likely that everybody's going to follow.
I can get better at it. I've worked on progressively getting better, and that is something that I think it truly comes down to. I think I've never thought I had a self-confidence problem, but I've had a self-confidence problem. Like, people will sit there and they're like, I don't have a self-confidence problem. Then why the fuck don't you post every day? Why aren't you going out doing what it takes to make the best version of yourself in business or anything that you do? Because most people, like, if you really want to iron out what that is, like, it was 100% a self-confidence problem for me.
Yeah.
That is, and I had to come to terms with that with myself. And it's like, when do I break that threshold? When do I get uncomfortable? Starting a podcast was very uncomfortable. I look at it now, it's like, I'll hit a podcast any time of the day. Like, you catch me anytime I'm awake, I'd hit a podcast now. And I think the first one, it took me like 4 days to build up. And like, it was giving me like a stomach ache thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God.
We were sitting in the basement talking about recording like one of our first video ads, talking ads. I don't know if you and Lauren had started yet. But,
oh my God, that was rough.
Dane, we flipped desk around like to make this look good. It was when Dane moved his desk in front of the TV and the wooden wall down there, and it was probably like 5 o'clock at night, and we're all like trying to, like get this thing done. We'd been messing around with it, writing the script on the whiteboard for like 3 hours. Dane goes up here in the garage, gets a bottle of tequila, takes a shot before he hits it, trying to loosen his nerves up. We need to find that video.
I would love to see that.
It was
floating around somewhere.
it only ran as an ad for a little bit, and then I saw it once. I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like,
It was almost like our first podcast intro. I mean,
Oh man.
I
No, it
remember
was way worse
It was
than
like, oh, I want the whiteboard writing. No, I don't want it. No, I do want it.
can you position the whiteboard to where it's like directly above the camera so I don't look like I'm looking away?
dude, it was.
Those were fun times.
I look back at that now and I see, like, think about what we hit all the time. Like, I think about what I just hit when I drive into work now. Like,
Yeah.
when I was hitting that whiteboard shit, like, it was rough.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I mean, I give you mad props. Just like whenever I'm doing the morning stories and stuff or just talking every single day on Instagram, that is such a confidence builder. Like if someone struggles with that, that's something that you got to start doing.
It sounds silly. And I feel like when I speak about it, it sounds silly to to myself. Then I'm like, I don't know. It was like one of those things that regardless of what it does, I've seen it produce business. Like I've seen it produce so much stuff like from it, but it's also like what it's done for me, like personally,
That
is worth way more than anything business wise. Like I have branched into something like I feel a world of difference about myself. Like I sit there and I used to think like I ended up at tables. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, and it's almost that like, what do they call it?
imposter syndrome.
It felt like I had like imposter syndrome. A lot of times I end up at tables and like I'd been at tables like with people like that. I'm like, I'm not. And I bought the houses. I had the cars. I did all the things that people had that sat at those tables. And I still felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. And I was like, I just don't feel like I have the confidence that these people have. And now it's like I do all these things and I'm like, I'm supposed to be at this motherfucking table. I'm like, I earn my spot. But it's like as those things, the smallest things are what has led to that confidence. It's not the big, huge movements of MMG and things like that. They're great. But I've seen people with huge companies with tons of money. They're some of the most unconfident people I've met.
Yeah.
That there's so I would take the confidence with a smaller company than all the confidence with a bigger company that I will talk to anybody at any given point in time. Good, bad, and different. I'm not scared to talk to people, anything, but it's also like it's changed things content-wise. It's changed the company as a whole. But it's also, I always felt bad when I was asking people to do something that I couldn't do.
Yeah.
But now as I've progressed to do those things, I know it can be done. So it's like when I push people to do those things, it's not as like I'm trying to push you to the edge to do something. It's like I want you to find out what this will do for you.
Yeah.
Like I promise you, give it 6 months and you're going to thank me up and down of what this will change for you. Like in everything, not just business.
Yeah. How long would you say it was before you were comfortable? Like it was no sweat doing it?
I'm going to say it's still not comfortable. Like it's comfortable hitting it, but still trying to get like, Ricky's been in the truck with me that like I'll hit it and then I just like lose my train of thought. I'm like, what? I was like, where the fuck was I going with that? Yeah. But now it's like funny, which now like on a day, if I really mess up, I may have 2 takes.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I'd work from Liberty to the River Market, and if I could get it by the time I got down there, I was pretty pumped.
And that's about like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I normally had like probably 15 drafts in there that I'd like messed up or botched, and now it's like I'll stumble my words or whatever, and I just use it. Like,
yeah, I've said that's what I was going to say. I've said this on here before. No one cares. Like, really, you matter so little in that like daily life of everyone else. They're not going to remember a 10-second story of you when they lay down at night because you stumbled over 2 words.
The other thing is we're all humans. None of us are perfect. Anybody that is hitting stories, and like I started really recognizing it, I think probably like 2-3 months ago. Like I was watching all these like high level people that I know that Alex Hormozi's he doesn't stumble over shit. Like he is so dialed in at what he does. But you watch some of these guys that are still multimillionaires that are getting in front of the camera that are doing like what they're doing, and they still have mistakes all over the place. So like I'm watching it, I'm like, that wasn't on purpose. but the average person isn't catching that.
Yeah,
and it's also like,
there's a level of like authenticity that comes with it. When people see that you make mistakes, it almost, you know, humanifies you, or whatever you would say, to the point to where they can connect with you more. I mean, that was one of the things I noticed and liked about Grant Cardone when I first got into personal development, was I'd listen to his podcast and he'd be, you know, hollering out to the camera people, the lights people, like calling them out on stuff, calling himself out on stuff. Like, It was fun to listen to and it felt natural.
I would also say that if you can get it like 80% of where you want it to be, as far as like you're just talking on your story or making it real, not like a high production video for your business, obviously. If you can get it 80, 90% where you want it to be, just post it, because you're going to drive yourself absolutely crazy trying to get it 100% perfect. Yeah. And then you're just not going to do it next time.
I think sometimes you start thinking that that's so much work to hit it, but now it's like became something that I'm like pissed at myself if I forget it. That's just became a habit of something I do. And it's pretty crazy on how many people like listen to it. Like one of Madison's friends were over, and she's like, if I don't get up in the morning when I'm heading to work and I don't get to listen to Dane's story of him trucking into work, she's like, I'm mad. And she's like, I listen to it every morning, but she's like, I love when he's trucking into work. Like, that's just what I say, and it's just turned in my deal. But I think it's kind of funny that there are so many people that you don't realize are paying attention.
And people also seem to forget, because social media just tends to do this. Like if you pictured, even let's just say 100 people in this garage, probably won't even fit in here, right?
Yeah.
But then when you see 100 on your story that have viewed it and you're like, oh, that's not really as many as it used to be, or that's not that many people. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So then if that ticks up to like 1,000, you almost can't picture that number.
And
like it looks simple on the screen, but that's a lot of people.
But I think when you start really looking at those numbers, where you look at an Instagram account that hit 100,000 new accounts in a month, like that's why we are where we are, because that exposure level is so high. When that exposure level is so high, 100,000 people is a ton.
That's a lot of people.
How many salespeople would we have to hire to go get in front of 100,000 people in a month?
Wouldn't
Quite a
be
few.
feasible.
It's not feasible. Like, so now take something that's not feasible that we can't do. So now, okay, Nick's plan of attack, we reach 100,000 people a month on, realistically, I mean, we have the podcast, which I'm not even factoring that in. That's with the reels and stuff that go on to, and this is just on Instagram. This is on one platform. Doesn't include how many people we reach on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, on all these other platforms. So when you start adding that up, that's organic reach.
Exactly.
That organic reach is huge, and it's every business out there can do it. The roadmap is put right in front of them. They're given the car, they're given everything, and they're just sitting at the starting line. They just won't put their foot on the gas to go. It's like, hey, this is where you need to go. Oh, that costs money? I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit here and actually just wing it and then wait till I go under and really try to.
I mean, you might be able to milk it out for a while.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, go for it. But
And I feel like a lot of business owners think that they go out and open a business and they just became their own employee, that they're not a business owner.
Yeah.
If you are somebody that goes to work 9 to 5 plus every single day, doing whatever your job is, working inside your business, and you're not actively trying to grow your business every day, you are an employee. You are the same as an employee that works somewhere else.
I feel like a business owner should be able to leave for a week, 2 weeks, and the business should at least maintain the level they're operating at.
For sure. And I feel that I went to Mexico last week. It was the first time since this is open that I've pulled myself back from everything that I had my hand in, that it ran 100% normal. And I didn't sweat it one bit. There's been times I've went on vacations, like earlier on in MMG, I'm like, oh, shit.
You almost would have been more relaxed at home.
I know. I think it made me like, Madison's like, you're not enjoying yourself. I'm like, I know, there's like 5,000 things I need to be doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this isn't getting done. This isn't getting done. This isn't getting done. And I always think of like, I don't want to say worst case scenario, but what if something happened and I got put in the hospital for something for 2 weeks? there's a lot of people that have small businesses that would not be open if that happened. Like, and it's sad. Like, but I look at it as like we're building something too that I want it to where every person is a vital role in the company, but it's also every person has a ability to step away, not just me. That Dalton's went on trips, Logan's went on trips, you guys went on trips. Like, I want it to where everyone can have a life, enjoy themselves, and really live life to the fullest. Like, we weren't put here to work. We're put here to have a good time, do what we want to do.
I think we've all been in situations and had jobs that was the opposite. Like,
Yeah.
we couldn't fucking go on trips. We couldn't go, leave for 3 days because it just either wasn't allowed or it just wouldn't function if otherwise. So I think putting that all together, we all appreciate that now for sure. That, I mean, the value of time. Time is pretty much everything. So,
and I don't think what I like to this point is it hasn't been abused, which I know that is going to be a bridge that I have to cross at some point, that people are going to come on board that abuse it.
Right.
And it's going to be a conversation that's not fair to everyone else that doesn't. There's some people you give an inch and they're going to take a mile. But it's also, I know that if Dalton's not there, his work is done. I know if Logan's not there, the work is done. I know if Ricky's not there, work is done. I feel that the team is one, that no one is going to screw over someone else by just dipping and leaving someone else hanging, to where it's made that possible. And I think that only works when everyone is on the same team rolling forward.
I think that just goes to everyone's character, really. I mean, the character of the people that we hire. So,
And if we keep building the way we're building, if somebody comes on and they don't have that same character, they're not going to feel comfortable in it because everybody else is so dialed in that they're probably not going to stick around anyways.
Yeah. And I think that is going to be, like, I hate to say it, but those bridges are going to have to be crossed at some point, that we're going to run into things that not everyone's going to fit the mold of what we are. And I think that's been one of my hardest things to accept is I always thought, like, I want to be remembered as somebody that put a symbol like the most dominant team around. That's what I want to be remembered for. Like, he was capable of building something that no one else was, not by any one thing I did, but just the people that were around. Towards, once again, you guys are the ones that build everything to where it's at. And it's like, I feel like when I hire somebody that doesn't work out, then it's like that's a reflection of myself not reading someone's character correctly. And it's like, that's part of a position that I'm in, is to make sure I don't fail at that point, because I feel like when I do that, then it fails everyone of the team.
But also, like, for the business owners that are listening, don't let that fear of not nailing that right perfect person keep you from hiring somebody. Because chances are you're not going to find the perfect person right off the bat, but you have to take those steps and hire people and learn from it and move on.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to toot my own horn here. I feel like I've been pretty fucking dialed in.
You have
on the hirement of, I mean, I sit at my desk and stuff and just look around all the time. Like, that's where I find enjoyment now, is like the progression of everyone. Like, I don't look at it as myself anymore, but I feel like I have more weight on my shoulders than I ever have, which I want, but it's to make sure that the exposure level that we have, to make sure all these things are right, to where that future employment stays right in line with where we're at. Not one day Logan comes to me, he's like, bro, I got 4 dipshits working for me. I can't fucking stand. Like, it's a fucking headache. Like, I don't want that. I want it to where when we have 50 people in there and 100 people at MMG, it's like from the top to the bottom, it's every person represents what we are to the nines. And I think it can be done. I don't think anyone's done it around here.
Yeah, you look at you said Supplement Superstore earlier, the First Forms, the Grant Cardones, the Bradleys, the teams that they've built around them. it's because it starts at the top, like you said. And that's something that's, I don't know if you can, learn that quickly as a business owner, or if it's something that you just naturally have. I think it comes natural for you, but I think if you're someone that doesn't come natural to, you just got to start and put in the repetition, put in the time with all the stuff that we're talking about.
When you say it comes natural, I think it's just because truly when I make a decision, I think about myself the last in that decision. Like, I think MMG as an entity above me, that when I make the decision for something, I can see when workloads get heavy somewhere. And I feel a lot of management, I've witnessed it firsthand in the car business all the time, that they fire someone, they just take that workload, they put it on someone else, and then they never hire someone else. They're like, oh, great, now I'm paying half the money, getting all of it out of this person. Then they burn that person out, and then they're like, fuck, now I got to hire 2 people, now you just paid more, now I got to train these people. It ends up losing money in the long run.
Yeah. And
it's like, I feel that you don't stack people to the nines. Like, let people work. People with good work ethics will bring good results, but still be understanding enough to when you're making those decisions that when I look at a decision that, oh, could I keep Ricky editing here and I take home more money? Yeah. No, my first thought is I'm hiring another editor ASAP to free up more Ricky's time. And then it's like he stacks that person up instantly. Then it's like we need another editor like immediately. And then I see that Parker and Jaime and Ricky are all stacked to the nines on videoing. So it's now we're going to the table to find more video editors or videographers. And then I look at you, Dalton, and Lauren, and you guys are all stacked up right now. So you guys need help. And it's like I see that, but it's also a process to make sure that we don't take the wrong steps. That I want to make sure those steps are forward, not backwards.
Yep.
Full speed, dude.
Full speed.
We'll figure it out.
And I feel that sometimes, once again, slowing down to go faster, there was a time that we sat with people that we knew we needed that person so bad, but in my gut, I knew that person was not the long-term fix for us. And I think I've had that conversation with all 3 of you guys where we've sat there and I said, I'm going to get us help, but that's not the person.
Not this person, though.
Like, let's keep looking. Who's that?
I think we all appreciate that, though. I mean, we're all pretty aware of, like, what we need and what we're looking for. And if it's not the right person, it's not the right person. I mean, it's a lot better than having the wrong person that you're just going to have that hard conversation and those frustrating times with.
Yeah, because I think the wrong person almost makes it more of a workload.
And the wrong person can also just make, the whole situation worse.
Yeah. And I truly think that a lot of times people, when they just need bodies, they're just slinging things out just to say, help, help, help. And that's where I was very firm on, I think when all you guys started, that I helped a little bit, but I didn't hold your guys' hands all the time.
Right.
Like, my dad didn't hold my hand all growing up for everything I needed. He taught me how to problem solve and how to be independent and how to find success on my own and not rely on everyone else all the time. But what I want to create is, I remember sitting in the basement having Dre across there and ask me something, and I was like, and he knew I knew exactly what it was. I told him, look it up. He's like, why don't you just tell me? I was like, because you have to learn how to problem solve, because who do I get an answer to? When I have a question, who the fuck do I ask? Hello? Well, there's no one fucking there to answer my question. So we've built this culture, and once again, I love watching this. I don't have people at my desk all day asking questions. You guys figure out those answers. You guys have became problem solvers in what you do, and it's not sitting there with question after question after question after question after question, because my last job, I sat there with question after question after question all fucking day. And I really started, like, I had a life coach that I worked with in the car business, and he's going over, like, me figuring out and dialing in my time. And I'm like, you know how much time I spend a fucking day answering questions? I was like, based with the dealership, what they pay me, like, do you know how much money they spend on me just answering all these questions when 99% of it shit these people could figure out using Google?
Or it's something they asked you last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like, it was kind of crazy when you started really looking at that I don't spend my week answering simple questions. Like, think about if you ask me 50 questions in a week, by the time that you walk from your desk to my desk to ask me the question, for me to explain the fucking question, for you to go back to your desk, like,
It also distracts you from whatever you'd be doing.
yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like people need to become more problem solvers. Like, I tell people all the time, he who solves the largest problems gets paid the most. The larger the problem you can solve, the more you get paid.
Yeah.
So go look at a CEO of Coke can solve the largest problems that Coca-Cola has. That's why he gets paid the most.
Right.
So look at the problems that are being solved all the way down the line. A manager at a car dealership gets paid more because he can solve bigger problems than the sales guy. The finance guy gets paid more because he can solve problems that someone else can't. So it's whatever your problems are in your business, how are you solving those? How are you becoming a problem solver? And if you become a problem solver in whatever you do and become really, really good at it, all we are doing is solving problems for businesses. Marketing, that's what marketing is. A business has a problem on acquisition of new clients. So the problem we have to solve is how do we bring more clients into a business?
Right.
Whatever that problem looks like, and if we can fix it, that another company can't, they will pay us 10 times when they'll pay another company if we can fix the problem and they can't. So marketing companies that go in that are super cheap, that they know they're not going to fix the problem, that's why they're super cheap. The company that comes in that's going to fix the problem is going to cost more because they can solve the bigger problem. So it's like, solve big problems, get paid a lot of money. It's like pretty simple.
Let's start making a whole bunch of 3-second reels.
Yeah.
Big problems.
Super simple.
Simple. Big problems, big money.
Solve big problems.
Yep, you have to solve them. But it's like most people have problems, and I mean they'll have problems in their personal life. They have problems everywhere, but they don't solve any of them.
Well, and again, just take the time to step back, and you can solve whatever problems are in your life. You put yourself in this situation. Just take the time to figure out what you need to do to fix it. Don't just keep going along with it, assuming that's just how it is.
Yeah. And the other thing is there's certain things that somebody might need some sort of power in their company for approval, but go to that person with a solution.
Yeah.
If you ever have a problem, anything in life, before you speak to anyone on it, figure out the solution yourself. And you will become a more independent, stronger, more successful person in every aspect of your life.
Yeah. You'll progress faster in anything that you're doing.
Yeah. I gotta get a beer.
Grab me one.
I think Dre needs to go get some ice cubes.
Miller.
You guys are doing great.
Can we take an intermission? Because I got to piss.
I don't think we need an intermission, but you can go take a piss.
I'll go take a piss and get me some ice.
That was really loud.
It was.
One thing I feel like I've heard a lot. I've been like watching documentaries and stuff.
No.
You guys, documentaries,
doll.
and just researching like CEOs. It's like kind of going back to what you said. They don't want you to come to them with a problem.
Yeah.
Like I think, for instance, I want to say it was like an aircraft manufacturer. This engineer came in, and was like, "We have a problem. Like this." He's like, "Okay, what are we gonna do about it then?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Well," he's like, "Get with your team, figure it out, and come back to me with the solution." Because you telling me the problem isn't helping us right now. It's not fixing the issue.
If anybody ever thinks they're going to go to a higher power, anything that they're in, just with a problem, that would be like me going to a client of ours, say, "Hey, we got a problem." If I went to somebody that we work with, say, "Hey, we have a problem. We didn't get you any clients." They say, "Okay, you're fucking fired."
That is a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem.
What are we
It's a
going to
big
do?
problem.
Yeah, what are we going to do about it? I don't know. You're fired. That's how that conversation goes.
Yeah.
So now think about it as all the time as if you're working in a company, if you own a company, anybody listening to this, if you view yourself as a vendor all the time, think about anything that you do. I have my AC goes wrong in my house. So I call a HVAC guy, say, "Hey, can you come out and get my AC fixed?" He comes in and says, hey, we got a problem. All right, great. What's the problem? I don't know, man. All right, get the fuck out. Let's call a different AC guy that can actually come out and fix it. So when you call a specialist in anything, they're coming in to fix your problem. If my toilet is leaking, I call a plumber to come in because he's going to be the one that fixes the problem, and that's why I pay him what I pay him. So it's, why is the world run that way? But then we think because we work somewhere that we're going to go to people just like, hey, we got a problem. I don't know what to do about it, but we got a problem. Just run your life the exact same way, and it makes things a lot easier. Like, I don't remember the last time I went to somebody and just said, hey, we got a problem.
I think it's personally, I think it's because people don't want the burden of that failure on them.
Yeah.
Like they're scared to try a solution type of thing.
Yeah, like they don't want the burden on them if it does fail, their solution, like they're just scared of that, I guess.
Embrace failure all the time.
It happens. I mean,
And you also need to be in a company culture that has that mindset. Like if people are scared to make a decision, then they're just not going to make a decision.
yes, there could be also the contrast of like people aren't allowed to make decisions.
Yeah.
Which is that's a thing.
So
for sure, but
I worked in a position where I was the manager of a location, not to name any names, and we were in a position where like they wanted us to lead, but then they micromanaged every single decision, and it's like, well, you're just keeping yourself inside the business. Like it's not that hard. Just let us do it, and then go build the company.
And that's where there's been many times since we've started this that people have had ideas, and I've known that they were wrong, but I still backed them. That sometimes people just have to learn. And I'm okay with, I want people to learn. But I'm not going to go against somebody and make somebody feel stupid because they had an idea that I may have already made that mistake and said, hey, like, I don't think that's going to work. But I'm like, also, it's like, is it going to cost me a whole lot? Not really. But I'll let them make that mistake, and then they learn from it. And they may have made the decision with multiple people involved. I let them make that mistake, and afterwards I'm like, okay, I think we should do it this way, this way, this way. Try that, see if that works. But you kind of let them there, and you also made it to where it wasn't like it. I want that culture where people can freely have ideas and be able to go execute them without being ridiculed, being like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, and I feel like there are a lot of companies that are that way.
oh, there definitely are.
So I was out filming at Crosley into last week, and I was talking to Gentry. He was on his way out, Todd Gentry, and he asked me what I did to the side of my truck. So I like told him the story of how I was trying to turn into the parking and pretty new to driving a truck. I scraped up the whole back side of it. And then we were talking about something else. And then we were talking about like employees making mistakes and stuff like that. And he mentioned a lot of dealers, like if, say I was working at a car dealership, I scrape a truck up a light pole. Like a lot of dealers are just going to fire that employee. But Todd said he would never do that because now that guy's never going to make that mistake again. Whereas they say they fire him, they hire somebody else. There's a pretty good chance they're doing the exact same thing.
It was, it's kind of funny that you bring up Todd because we had Jamie. I'm definitely going to throw Jamie on the bus. He's going to fucking hate me for this one. But, so Jamie, when we first started TDR, same kind of deal. He, in the early days of TDR, we didn't have a whole lot of nice cars. And we had a bunch of shit boxes out there with a bunch of miles on them and shit. And
those create the memories, though.
They definitely did. I remember going on test drives where we break down on the side of the road, and I'm trying to sell somebody in a car that's broke down. I'm like, well, if we get this fixed, are you still interested? And it was a whole different way of
Test
selling.
your skills there.
But that's what made, I feel like what made me good at sales was going through that. So we have this big event up at TDR, and we have like vendors up there, like the whole parking lot's busy, and Crosley had sent down this blue Raptor, and we get it in, and it's sitting right at the front. Like, if you walked out the side door, there's this like ledge. People are standing out there, and it's parked right at the front point. And Jamie goes and jumps in it to move it, and flies backwards and runs it straight into a fucking light pole in reverse.
Oh,
I don't think I've heard this one.
No,
He must have did a good job to sweep that one under the rug.
Oh, he gets really mad when I bring it up.
Never heard that before.
I apologize, Jamie, but And he goes in and he looks at my dad and he like hands him the keys and he's like, I'm leaving right now, man. Like he 100% thought he was fired. And my dad's like, it's a truck. I don't really care. He's like, we'll get it fixed. But it's like, they're metal.
Yeah.
Like, people make mistakes. And it's funny how many, we've seen car dealers we know out that wreck cars, jack cars up and everything. And they just look at it's like nothing. Like, that's just a normal day. Like, I go to sale and a bumper's hanging off that car. If I can buy it right, I'll buy it and I'll have it fixed. Like, it was just something that the numbers make sense. Their cars, they all break. Like, that's a guarantee.
Yeah.
And we just look at them as metal. We weren't attached to them. It was getting things fixed. And it was just kind of funny that so many people thought that was like such a big deal. And I'm like, it's a car. Just get it fixed.
Dude, one of my first, had to be the first couple of weeks at the dealership. It was like a Monday morning, and one of my managers was talking about how he wrecked a dealer car over the weekend. It was like totally not a big deal. I was like completely mind blown.
Yeah, I remember my dad he had got a brand new truck, had less than 1,000 miles on it. He backed into an employee's car in the parking lot. And then he walks in and he gets on a phone real quick and he's like, yeah, they're picking it up tomorrow. They're going to put a new bumper and tailgate on it tomorrow. I'm like, just no big deal. But I don't know. I think a lot of times people do jump to conclusion too fast, or not even really jump to conclusion. They just go after somebody just to get on someone. And people make mistakes. Like how big of messing up a bumper on a Raptor in the grand scheme of what we were doing is like this big.
Yeah.
Like Dalton, now that he's gone, we'll go after him too. Like he messed up something on ad spend on an account once, and he was like freaking out about it. And I sat down, I'm like, bro, it's not a big deal. Like we got hella traffic for that company because you spent a shit ton of money.
They're definitely sticking around.
Yeah. I go, they're pretty pumped right now. I was like, we lost our ass. But I'm like, just don't do it again. And now I never fear that he's going to make that mistake again. And it's like, as simple as it is, like, grand scheme of it all, I'm like, bro, that's not putting us under. Like, Dalton, you left and I went after your ad spend deal.
My what?
Your ad spend deal.
Right. Put it on daily ad spend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
So did you do like the full budget? Because that was before I was here. Did you do the full budget as a per day?
Yeah, so it was
Or that type of thing?
No.
it was per car ads.
No, what happened was,
What happened was
I was out of town.
fucking luckily,
I was out of town.
super luckily we were doing like $25 a car then, so it was 25 daily. Like normally up for an ad set we do 100 to 250, so that's really good that it was a car ad.
But it was like,
But there was 20 of them.
There was like, yeah.
No, there was like 7 of them. Do you think I don't remember this? I remember pretty well.
But it was like
it
one of
was,
those
it
things.
was fucking churning a fucking hole in my stomach, man. I was like, fuck.
I just put
I
us
think
under.
it was like what?
$700. It was like six and some change. But Dalton comes to me, he's like, man, take it out of my check. And I'm like, dude, it's not a big fucking deal at all. He's like, no, like I messed up. I'm like, dude, it is what it is. Like you're gonna make mistakes. I'm fine with it. Like I'm glad you caught it. Like,
Yeah.
how about the day my Amex gets hacked and they spend $17,000 on it in like, I don't know, 3 hours, and everyone's like, oh my god. I'm like, it's not a big deal. I'm like, it's insured.
Yeah.
I'll have it back in my account by tomorrow.
Those Facebook ads, they were not insured.
Yeah, those were
not.
Yeah.
I told them though, you got hella traffic for the company.
They
Like,
did.
yeah, they were pumped.
Yeah.
You don't think you could call up Zuck and be like, hey, my bad. I clicked the wrong button. We're definitely gonna need our ad spend back on that.
We spent enough with them. They should have fucking gave us a
At least give us a credit.
Yeah. But yeah, those are things that like I look at. There's like monster mistakes. That there's companies out there right now that are making some huge mistakes, but there's also like small mistakes. I'm not gonna sit there and cry over spilt milk. Like learn from it. The last person I'm gonna see in that office that's gonna make a mistake on ad spend is Dalton.
Well,
That was worth $600 something to me.
hasn't happened since. I think we're pushing a year and a half now. So
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
But Logan's gonna have his time. And we'll get him on the podcast.
We'll see.
So we'll
We'll
see.
see.
But no, I feel like we have a pretty good like approval cycle and stuff now, and we stay on top of them all daily. And that shouldn't happen in theory.
Yeah, we did then. It was just
Logan was out of town.
it was just
Not like I'm the fucking saving grace.
That's why it happened.
it was just,
I would've-
just
Actually, now that we brought it up, I think this is Logan's fault.
If you have to stay here all the time. You can't leave.
Yeah.
Okay. So
the bad thing is about it is, like in that situation, what probably happened is I thought one was right. So on some parameters of an ad, everything's the same once you duplicate it.
yeah.
However, they were not. Everything was not right.
Turns out it wasn't the case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
just bad
but also
oversight
in those
on my shit.
situations. Sorry. Go ahead.
Bad oversight for me.
Yeah, in those
happens.
situations, I mean, we say that we learn from it. It's not like, we just like, we just hope like it won't happen again. Like we just know it won't happen again because it happened before. No, we looked at like our processes and we said, okay, we have to make sure that we follow the process, that we adjust it, look at it if it's right, and hasn't happened again.
Because the funny thing was, like, all up until probably like the month before that, I monitored every ad and I approved every one of them. So then, like, the next month, I'm like, you know what? You guys are just going to approve each other. And I'm like, because we started getting so many ads that we were struggling getting all the ads up every day because I'm trying to approve so many of them every single evening to hit live. And I'm like, okay, this process is whack.
Yeah, we
Like-
were
Yeah, we're
doing
doing-
40 to 50 ads a day at least.
Yeah.
I think it was like 500 every couple weeks, every
Yeah.
2 weeks.
And they're both doing it. So I have 100 plus ads each evening that I'm trying to approve. And I'm like, this isn't very scalable. So then I'm like,
I feel like we're at a bottleneck.
how about when you get done doing ads, you approve them. When you get done doing ads, you approve them. And then it's like, it actually worked out much smoother. And then like Logan left and then Dalton hits his ad spend deal. And then I was like, you know what, that's going to happen. I was like, but
Yeah.
good learning experience. Yeah, we are going to hold this one pretty close to time. But anybody listening to this, I want to go over just a couple, if you can give somebody 2 tips for marketing right now, exactly where we're at in the space, what would you recommend doing? I'm going to start with Logan at the end.
My recommendation is that the best time to start was last year, but the second best time to start is now. So stop putting it off. Stop waiting for some magical moment, whatever it is in your life. If you want to change something, stop waiting for a magical something to happen. You got to do it now.
I like it.
I would say it only works if you're consistent. So if you go post something on Tuesday and then you're like, oh, you got a bunch of likes, whatever, 3 weeks go by, you post again. In a few months, you're going to stop doing it. It really wasn't worth your time. You have to be consistent with it if you're going to do it, which you should. So that means if you need to hire somebody, do that. Be consistent with it.
I like it.
I like that one. That was one of mine. But I think mine is just being genuine. I feel like a lot of the times you scroll social media and you just see these unrealistic things. And I think just being genuine and being yourself goes a long way in the social space.
I think that's a
Because one example, which some people may or may not know this, but Urban, they just are just themselves. We're just filming it now, and
Yeah.
their stuff is doing phenomenally.
You
But
should explain real quick what they do.
so, local Kansas City company, they basically take all recycled lumber that's going to be like I don't know, chipped up or go into a landfill, and they dry it, and then they make furniture out of it. So they just take stuff that's going to be waste, turn it into nice products and sell it, and they just are very, I don't know what the word I'm trying to,
they are
they're very,
very
passionate about what they do, and
they're
they're very good at it.
and they're a very genuine group that
Yes.
like they're not trying to sell anyone in anything they're doing. They're just
No, it's, yeah.
relaying the information.
Yep. But they already had a pretty good following, but as more people have been exposed through, and we don't even run ads for them, it's all organic. More people are being exposed to it, and more people are like catching on like that. This is an awesome thing you guys do. Like, keep it up. You know, someday we're going to buy furniture from you.
Yeah.
And none of the stuff is like super salesy. It's just organic, genuine. So being genuine,
100%.
be genuine.
What's yours?
I would say in today's space, it's going to be kind of based off Dalton's, is stop trying to sell people and start focusing on building a brand around what you do. Build a brand that is really hones in on who you are, what your service is, what your product is, that's long lasting. I think a lot of people try to jump on trends that are really short lived, that the message isn't relayed correctly, that if something goes viral for urban lumber, they're going to know exactly what they do. Yeah. Any piece of content that goes up. And it's because they're not trying to sell anyone at any given point in time. They're going over what they're doing, and they're building a brand around what it is. And I think a lot of times people miss the branding side. And in today's world, what wins is organic branding on social media at volume.
I would also mention that if you are trying to be salesy in the post, then you totally lose out that virality aspect anyways, because nobody's going to share it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I was being sold, swipe.
Yeah.
I literally came across a company today, and it was like some sort of drops, kind of similar to what you had earlier, but it was like increases your oxygen
I've been
flow.
seeing that ad too.
And I went to their page because I was curious about it, and it's literally all testimonials
Yeah.
of like influencers using it. I'm like, well, that's not genuine at all.
Yeah.
Like that just it lost all credibility for me, because I was interested in it. I'm like, damn, if they actually have some like, facts about it, some science, that might be something cool. Although in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's a drop isn't going to make you able to, consume more oxygen.
The only reason I watched it is because the ones I saw, they were golfing.
Yeah, that was the one I got served.
Yeah,
that their targeting is working pretty
To
good.
be fair, mine are on their way. I bought them.
You might need them on Saturday. You might actually.
I was actually hoping
Saturday.
they'd be here. I'm like, if I could give me any help running a half marathon, then I was in.
The next ad you see, it's Dane. It's telling you how it helped him get through half marathon.
So this comes out on Monday.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this on Monday that it comes out, 2 days ago, Dane ran a half marathon.
And my funeral service will be on Thursday.
I got to make sure I still have time to edit this.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to be on it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's coming, or it will have happened now. So hopefully I'm still alive.
Are you pumped?
I'm more than pumped. I'm smoking cigars and drinking beer and whiskey, getting all hyped
You've got
up
like
again.
4 days to go. You're good.
Easy. Light work.
Rest week.
Yep. I've been listening to extra David Goggins this week, so I think it'll help. That's what I'm banking on.
Well, he'd be the one to listen to.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I think that is going to wrap it up. I very much enjoyed this. I think that it covered a lot of different things, and I feel like people listening could get a lot of good takeaways between all of our funny stories and or what we find funny. Somebody else might not.
I can't believe you called me out when I was away.
Dude, that was like the perfect timing. I got Jamie when he's not here. I got you when you're not here. This is a fucking
the roast
gauntlet
sesh?
here. Yeah.
What they used to call those? Or the celebrities that come on and roast themselves?
I think it's just a roast set.
Just a roast.
The roast of, yeah.
Yeah, this is the roast of Dalton. Thank you for joining today.
Not that I'm a celebrity.
But join us again next week. Like, subscribe below. Do I hit anything else on that, Ricky?
I think that's pretty much.
I'm not
That's
really
the first time you've hit it.
Yeah.
Pretty
us
much
on,
ever.
Follow us on social media.
Yeah. Check us out on social media.
Take a photo.
Hit the bell icon for notifications.
Yeah.
Dre watches a lot of YouTube videos.
Dre's our YouTube
And Twitch.
guy. And Ricky.
I think he stopped watching Twitch.
No, he didn't.
I think for the podcast, we should just have Dre like poof in his Harry Potter costume. We'll pause the video. He's just on the screen and he tells them what they need to do.
It's like, yeah, PSA, this is what you should do.
What is
Oh,
he?
my.
You know what's funny? No one's gonna see that.
Hit the second button.
All right. That's it. Join us again next week. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.